Hello all. If you're new, smash the subscribe button. And if you're returning, smash that like button. That being said, welcome. Now let's get down to the goods. I've been wanting to do a fat positive video, and my research took me into kind of a slew of passionately negative stuff. I thought, ick, so many people hate fat people. And I found very little information on, I did find information on fat positive things. However, I thought to myself, what is bugging me about this? What is bugging me about this in general? And I believe it is diet culture. And I personally have been affected very negatively by diet culture, as I'm sure every single person that is listening to this, unless you live in a little bubble by yourself, has been affected by it. So I had to narrow it down though. Diet culture. Okay, this got me thinking, okay, diet culture, invasive toxicity of diet culture. Basically, I think if our minds are consumed, no pun intended, by trying to be perfect and looking perfect, then we won't have time to fight the patriarchy, but that'll be another show. Today, I'm diving into diet culture and its effects on our kids. So let's delve into some stories about how our personal beliefs about diet culture, about food being a reward, about labeling food as good or bad, about labeling ourselves as good or bad, according to what we've eaten or how much we've exercised. I want to look at some stories that detail the way we look at ourselves and food and the way that manifests and we see it in our children. So I was searching through the subreddits, and this one's under intuitive eating. It's basically kind of the tried and true story of a young lady who really felt like she was on track with intuitive eating and feeling good about herself. And then she ran out of her antidepressants, and that kind of catapulted her into feeling binging and trying to comfort herself in different ways. And now she's just feeling really uncomfortable. And she asked this subreddit group, she said, I thought I was free from diet culture, but I recently gained it all back. And she asked specifically, what are some people's experiences with diet culture, and if anyone has encountered this, and has anyone had any successes with stopping this generational trauma around weight and body image with their own children. So let's get into it. Here's the first story. Mom had an eating disorder all throughout my childhood. However, she managed to raise 5 healthy, normal weight children. She never rewarded with food, let us have junk if we wanted in small portions, and she constantly told me to never let any food have power over me. There's no good or bad, just food to have in different quantities for different nutritional purposes. Our meals and school lunches were healthy and packed in perfect portions, and she encouraged us all to take up sports and exercise. When I was about 11, I liked to sneak to the store and buy family blocks of chocolate to binge on by myself. When my mom found out, I didn't get into trouble. She just told me that there's always going to be more chocolate. Only eat to the point of enjoyment, and then you can have the rest another day. I think she did a really solid job of stopping me from binging like she would. Despite food having control over my mom for most of her life, she managed to not pass any of it down to us. Super grateful for her giving us normal habits without ever being an issue. Personally, I try to, since I have struggled with this pretty extensively, I am really, really cognizant of the fact that I still have a difficult time labeling food as good or bad. And as a teacher, I think, and a mother, I think it's really important to dig down in your brain and tell yourself food is not good or bad. It doesn't make you good or bad. It seems so simple when you say it out loud, but that internal dialogue constantly telling you that one thing is one way is really difficult to break. All right, the next story. My entire childhood, I was rewarded with food. Then, when I became aware that I was bigger than everyone else my age in middle school, I started emotionally eating to deal with the embarrassment and the shame. My parents would put locks on the pantry and constantly monitor my food, and all of a sudden those rewards were no longer given, and I was in the wrong for being big. I was put on the South Beach diet my freshman year of high school, and it scarred me for a very long time. I developed an even more unhealthy binging thing after that. Now I'm 28 and engaged, and my man and I have a 5-year-old son. Both of us are prepping right now for shows, and our household is kind of fitness centered. There will never be a locks on my pantry. I never tell my son no to snacks. He's a constant snacker, but he's 5 and he's growing, and their stomachs are so tiny. They're constantly needing to eat small amounts. What we do is explain he can have a big amount of certain foods and a smaller amount of others. He's surprisingly very interested in health and nutrition, so he likes to ask how much protein something has, etc. We are focused on gently bringing awareness to healthy eating and fitness in a way that won't fudge him up. Honestly, we let him have soda once a week when we go out for our treat meal and talk freely about fitness and stuff around him, but I try my best not to reward him with food or repeat the same mistakes my parents did. That really messed me up. So instead of a treat for being a good boy at school, he'll get a star on his chart. And if he gets enough of those, he can get himself a new Switch game, etc. Treat foods are available to him, like I said, in small quantities, whenever he wants, so he doesn't feel the need to go crazy with them like I did. I hope it works, and I hope I answered your question correctly. I was brought up with a very body-positive house. One of my earliest picture books I can remember was about elephants, where Mom Elephant puts the family on a diet. They all hate it and realize that some people just are meant to be squishy. Mom never talked about diets other than to laugh at people around New Year's saying that people's bodies self-regulated to where they should be. Set point theory. I was allowed to eat whatever I wanted. There were certainly plenty of veggies and meats and fruits, but if I wanted 2 pieces of cake, that was fine too, because my body would know what it wants. I was a fat kid. I was a fat teenager. I grew a bit taller, and I was a skinny fat adult. I thought there was no point in going to the gym or dieting because it's just the way I was. I hate that I wasted so much of my life thinking there was nothing I could do and nothing I could change. It was defeatist and passive. It had taken me literally years to unlearn this and realize that how much you weigh is directly related to the activity you do and the food you eat. And for our last story of the day, I totally know exactly what you're talking about. My mom is so bad for this, and I only recognized it a year or 2 ago, and it's so damaging. You can follow the trail of dysmorphia all the way through my maternal relatives. I'm 6'2". My mom is 5'10". Her mom is 5 foot. Her mom, my great-grandma, was about 4'10". So there was massive body size change between my mom and her mom. And my mom obviously was picked on about it for her entire life. She says her mom and aunts used to just go on and on about how big she was compared to all the other kids her age, especially how big her thighs were. In fact, the only words I know from my great-grandma's language are the phrases for fat legs and also cabbage head. And I've seen the photos of her when she was a kid or teen, and she was a completely normal weight, just taller and bigger than the other girls. Her legs weren't even big. My mom is now late 50s and just lost 20 pounds and keeps talking about it. We spent a whole month arguing about pant sizes because she couldn't believe she was a size 8. It was crazy. A few years ago, my grandma's sick. She recovered and is fine now at 87, and she got dangerously thin. And when she healed and put 15 pounds back on, she kept going on about how she wished she could stay thin. When I was in high school, she would go on and on about how I needed to go on a diet or no boys would date me. When I picked out my prom dress, she kept asking when I would go on a diet so the dress would look better. The dress looked fine, and I wasn't even overweight at that time. I remember my mom crying at one point because I might get fat. Like, what? Anyway, I wish my great-grandma was still alive now to see my thighs. I do a lot of leg days, and I'm actually kind of fat now, so they're enormous. I would have loved to demonstrate that it's a good thing because I can do loads of squats and deadlifts. Let's go through one more. I just saw the word Mexican household, and I am particularly interested in that. I grew up in a Mexican household, so a lot of the vanity things and quick fix diets trickled down. My comment isn't necessarily on diets, but I've noticed that my parents and most parents didn't have access to basic information on nutrition. Diabetes runs in my mom's family, and I have to explain to her why she shouldn't have a plate of pancakes, oranges, and grapes with syrup because it can spike her blood sugar. A lot of people with families that came from low education and also from a cultural standpoint carry over poor eating habits. In Mexican culture, it is common to eat a plate of rice, beans, tortillas, and meats. That's right. There can easily be made that right there can easily be made a bit healthier by swapping out the rice perhaps for a vegetable to lower the amount of carbs that are being taken in. Everything is viewed as quick fixes and get thin quick without gaining knowledge about nutrition, which I think other forms of longer-term eating styles may offer. The counter to that, as well as a lot of ethnic families, don't grow up with the snack culture most American kids do. Growing up, I used to love going to my friends' houses with her pantry stocked of prepackaged snacks, goldfishes, Oreos, chips. My family only snack didn't go, come on, speaky, Abby, we can do this. My family's only snack didn't go beyond having the staple tortilla chips in the house. So on another end, that was one area I noticed ethnic families might do better in nutrition-wise, is they eat less processed foods because they just spend most of the time eating leftovers in lieu of snacks. I hope to embrace the foods of my culture, but also be able to pass them down in a healthier version to my future kids. All right, that's it for today. And again, if you are new, please smash that subscription button. And if you are returning, please smash that like button. Everybody, have a great day. Remember, you as a person are good as you are, no matter what kind of food you put in your body. Have a great day.